Hello everyone, I'm Relentlessly. We are back again talking about how CD Projekt Red claims that The Witcher 4 will now tackle a woman's struggle in a medieval world, because that's definitely what people want from a Witcher 4 game, a game that's supposed to be starring Ciri as a Witcher, even though it basically just breaks all lore and canon because 99% of adults pass away from going through the trials of the grass, and there are no women witchers in canon. So let's dive into the article here from that Park Place, saying CDPR claims The Witcher 4 will tackle a woman's struggle in a medieval world, because again, that's definitely what people want in a Witcher game. The Witcher 4 directors claim that using Ciri as their main protagonist will allow the team to explore the specific struggle of a female monster hunter in a medieval world. But again, it's not something people want. But is medieval sexism something anyone was asking for in a fantasy RPG game heading into 2025? Absolutely not. At least in my opinion, I wasn't asking for that. Don't really care for it. Ever since CD Projekt Red announced that Ciri would star in The Witcher 4, there have been questions and concerns raised. Some corners of the web erupted with outrage at yet another female protagonist replacing a beloved male hero, but people that have played it obviously saw the setup for it. Others are asking thoughtful questions about lore and whether Ciri's abilities and background even fit the concept of being a Witcher at all. It doesn't, but I'm sure they're going to somehow create a brand new way and break canon and teach you and tell you about how her elven blood is allowing her to survive the trials of the grass and become the first female Witcher. But what's catching the most attention is how the developers at CD Projekt Red have seemingly confirmed they plan to use Ciri's storyline to explore sexism and gender politics in the medieval-inspired world of The Witcher. Of course, again, that's not something that people want to hear when they're wanting to play an RPG game. Speaking to Eurogamer, game director Sebastian Kalemba and narrative director Philip Weber laid out how, from the start, they saw Ciri as more than a mere side character. They pointed out that while Geralt was already set in his ways, Ciri at the outset of The Witcher 4 is, quote, at the beginning of her journey as a Witcher. Again, breaking canon. Quote, in a way, even though Ciri is, of course, a defined character with her, players will have the opportunity to still define her quite a bit more, Weber said. Specifically define the path that she will take on her way to becoming a Witcher, and basically also what kind of person that will make her. The conversation with Eurogamer then turned specifically to questions that centered around the idea of sexism in the world of The Witcher. The outlet asked, quote, the experience of a woman is actively quite a significant theme in The Witcher in a lot of different forms. The women of this world are subjected to a lot of terrible things. They're heavily sexualized in different ways because, again, you're appealing to the male gaze. That's why the women are sexualized. They're the kind of deal with the devil that sorceresses have to make where they lose their fertility and so on. Watching the trailer, it seemed to maybe channel this. There's Ciri, a woman trying and failing to save another woman from more of this universe's terrible things, right? Is that an intentional theme that you were channeling with the trailer? And also, is it something you're intentionally looking to explore in the game? The experience of a woman in particular through Ciri's eyes in this world. He replies, I would say the world of The Witcher is a really dark one. Yeah, we could tell. That's really inspired by, of course, dark fantasy folklore, but also medieval to early Renaissance history, and that is a world that was tough. Tough for many different groups, women among them. As an example, in The Witcher, we also deal a lot with racism when it comes to non-humans, and this is something we want to keep up with The Witcher 4. I think it's something that has always been really important. We make games for adults, and it also means that we tackle some difficult topics. Of course, we don't want real-world politics in our games from either side. We tackle them in interesting ways. We tackle them without giving easy answers, but often opening difficult questions that players have to answer, and I think some of those questions might be going in this direction as well, because yeah, Ciri is a woman, and as a Witcher in this world, this is an unusual state, because of course they know that women are not Witchers in the canon of The Witcher. So I don't think it's going to be this story everywhere. But since this is a part of this world, and we want to tackle some of these many different themes, it's definitely also going to appear there as well. If it's not full-fisted, pushed too hard at the forefront, and it's done well, I'm sure people won't mind it. but again, it's not something people are looking for in an RPG. Does this mean that instead of simply showing how Ciri grows into her monster-slaying role, CD Projekt Red feels it's important to weave in a storyline about gender politics? Do most gamers really want that in their dark fantasy? Absolutely not. But again, like I said, as long as it's not hard-fisted into the story, I don't think many people are going to mind. Recent AAA launches suggest that modern deism and overtly feminist angles might be wearing thin on audiences. Star Wars Outlaws, Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Concord, and Dustborn have all been criticized for focusing too heavily on message-driven storytelling rather than compelling, immersive gameplay, which is what I said that people don't want. Each of these games failed commercially, which is a trend that can't be ignored. CD Projekt Red's approach may create headlines initially, but numbers could indicate that it often alienates core players seeking to lose themselves in a rich fantasy or sci-fi realm where they can take a break from debating societal issues. Contrast that with the buzz around Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, Space Marine 2, which is my personal favorite game of the year, Space Marine 2 is, or Marvel Rivals, games that simply promise fun escapism without underlining any modern political talking points, which is also what I said earlier. I said, no modern stuff from either side, and just make the game fun. Those titles have benefited from a fan base relieved to get back to the essence of why most people play games in the first place, an engaging world and an entertaining story, and just being pure escapism from the real world. The Witcher series has always prided itself on gritty realism and moral ambiguity. The original game famously let you collect risque romance cards. The newer entries, especially The Witcher 3, tackle topics like racism towards non-humans and the harsh realities of medieval society. One could argue that sexism is simply another piece of the puzzle and that, if handled with a deft hand, it might enrich the narrative, which is also what I said. It's also easy to suspect that The Witcher 4's big talking point is less about telling a natural extension of Ciri's tale and more about ticking a modern box. Instead of letting the sexist elements of the world stand as background flavor, they risk turning it into the main course for the sake of being quote-unquote relevant, which is also something I said. Don't make it so heavy-handed, too hard at the forefront. Ideally, The Witcher 4 will follow through on this in a way that feels consistent, with a dangerous, monster-ridden environment rather than a lecture about how tough it is to be a woman. Ciri is potentially an interesting protagonist as a defined character who can still be shaped by player choices. But it seems like a misstep to turn a dark medieval fantasy epic into yet another female empowerment storyline at a time when many gamers are clamoring for an escape from real-world culture wars. CD Projekt Red certainly has its work cut out. If it executes Ciri's arc with the same nuance and care that made The Witcher 3 a success, all may be forgiven. I believe that's how they should go about doing it, but of course they're deep into the whole DEI and ESG nonsense, even though they lied about it and have videos talking about how involved they are with those things. However, a fear that sexism, feminism, and social commentary will take a role in this narrative is already stirring skepticism from a fan base exhausted by messaging in modern AAA games. For now, fans can only hope that the final product delivers on the immersive, monster-hunting escapism they fell in love with, without forcing modern political narratives, which is, again, what I said. After all, if The Witcher 4 simply goes the route of gritty feminist commentary, recent gaming history suggests that no amount of brand power will stop the player base from walking away. Yes, I believe it's, if it's going to be a theme, let it be in the background, not at the forefront, being that, I'm a woman and you should listen to me kind of girl boss power things that people don't like. If they can execute it well, and if they can do it in a way that's nuanced, similar to how a Stan Lee would talk about not beating the person over the head with their political views, then I'm sure it'll be just fine. But seeing how, again, that they're so involved with the DEI and ESG stuff, we'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes up when The Witcher 4 releases, possibly next year. So thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit that like button. Comment below what you feel about all this. Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a video or go live on this channel. And I'll see you all in the next one.